Hello, my name is Owen, and welcome to a quick review of Fool's Errand by Robin Hobb. What I want to do is give a brief overview of the book's about, tell you things that I liked, tell you things I didn't like, jumping straight into it. We're so back. We are so back. I'm so happy to be back in the realm of the Elderling series. Dare I say, some of the greatest books I've ever read in my entire life. Those of you that know me, you know I love the Farseer trilogy. Definitely top 5 my favorite fantasy series of all time. I think some of the individual books are in my top 5 fantasy books of all time. Maybe cracking the top 10, top 5 of my favorite books of all time. Definitely fits my favorite character of all time, 1000%. And the crazy thing about those opinions, as strong as they are, is that I never read past the first trilogy of the Fitz books. And I've been shooting its praises. So this has been a long anticipated journey into the Tawny Man trilogy, starting with Fool's Errand. And I reread the Farseer trilogy, re-listened to the Farseer trilogy on audiobook in preparation for this, just to make sure I had all the details straight. Happy to say that I remembered most of it, most of the plot details, but I was reminded how much I love this world and how much I love these characters. I really liked Live Ship Traders, but there's something that just slaps different when Fitz is the main character. And I think I gotta listen. If I'm being 1000% real with you guys, I just recorded a 10-minute yap about the first half of Fool's Errand and how much I liked the structure of it. Because, and I'm not going to repeat it because it really was a yap, guys. I was just like basically just recounting it because it made me so excited. And I'm going to try not to give you a lot of big spoilers if you haven't read it, or just keep it vague in general. I'll let you know when I'm going to spoil it because I probably will have to spoil it just to talk about it. But Robin Hobb is such a, dare I say, bold author. And I don't even know if bold's the right word, but the conviction in your own storytelling, character building, the psychological analysis of these characters, the boldness of your writing style to be like, we're back in the world of Fitz. Everyone's excited for some more swashbuckling action from Live Ship Traders. Oh my gosh, it was so much fun. We're going to be back to Fitz. He's going to be like the best assassin in the world, right? But then you remember, what was Fitz's entire character arc in the first trilogy? He wants to be alone. He wants to have his own cabin in the woods. His own master, not obligated to the throne, not obligated to the kingdom. He wants his own life for once in his life. At the end of Assassin's Quest, the Farseer trilogy last book, he gets everything he wants. And we do a little time glimpse of him 15 years in the future. And that is the Fitz that we're starting with today. He has everything that he asked for, and lo and behold, oh, it's not everything he asked for. It's not everything he wished it would be. Nay, he's content. Shade comes to visit him and says, we need the royal assassin back. It's time to get the big gang back together. We need you for a quest. And you're like, okay, me as the reader, it's showtime. Let's bring him back. The boldness of Robin Hobb to go, no, he says no. Yes, he says no, but then he says yes. No, he really says no. And he sits with that no for the first quarter of the book. It's just him chilling in his cabin, and it allows us to get reacquainted with his mindset. And for those who didn't just reread the books, like reacquainted with some of the trauma that he experienced, some of the adventures that he went on, filling in the gaps a little bit of the 15 years between the time jump from the end of Assassin's Quest to now. And we really it's the slice of life fantasy that Robin Hobb is so masterful at. And I think it's so bold. Is it that bold? You're gonna be like, it's not that bold. It's bold to me. This is a character who was the royal assassin, goes on a quest, brings the dragons into the kingdom to slaughter the Red Ship Raiders, who are violently brain melting the kingdom, right? You must think that this is the most action-packed series of all time if you haven't read any of these books. You must think that Fitz is like the ultimate badass. He's slaying fools left and right. He is a great axe combatant. When he was in the battles, unstoppable force, and he's got a wolf pet that he can mind meld with. He's the ultimate D&D character. And yet these books, it's not like there's no action. It's so glorious. I mean, there's a little bit of action, but there's really no action. And at risk of delving back into the yap territory, I just think the slowness is what I'm trying to say. The slowness of really the first half of this book, potentially the entire book, the pace is so delightfully slow and ponderous and psychological. I just think that it's hard to describe how much it tickles me so. Because Fitz is a perfectly flawed character. Every single thing that he struggles with in the beginning of the book, like the character that he is now, makes perfect sense based on the trauma in his life that he experienced before. He still pangs for Molly and Burke, right? And their life together. And we are able to explore, like, did he, like, cause, like, you think about these things. I think about these things, the time gap. Surely, like, did he visit them? Did he visit them? That question is answered. Did he ever get more wit training? That is answered. We are allowed to sit with him enough that these things not just come out in like an info dump with like, during the 15 years of my isolation, I did this, and this. Because we're watching him go hunting or like, I don't know, get more herbs for his cooking or fetch more ink for his quills. These things are able to come out naturally, and these gaps just fill in, not as if we're being told what the gaps were, but as if we were back into Fitz's mind, and they just come up as memories when he's just thinking about his daily life, right? And obviously, like, the inciting incidents of like Chade visiting him, the Fool visiting him, like bring these memories to the forefront, but it's all done in such a slow but organic way. It's such a fantastic way to re-meet a character in a sequel trilogy. I think it's masterfully done. It's like if like we were watching Star Wars, right? And the sequel trilogy of Star Wars, the first like 45 minutes of the movie is just Luke Skywalker on that island, like drinking blue milk, like just pondering, like, man, like my dad really was Darth Vader, wasn't he? And like the way he behaves, like he's not like the perfect like ultimate hero. He's not infinitely wise now. He still has struggles, but the struggles lead directly, like it's still the same character, just grown, right? And Fitz is different in this book, which also I love so much. He has such a anger in him that I feel like it's a matured anger, because he's a man. He's a full-grown man now. He's no longer a child. But he's angry, he's short, he's difficult. He's very difficult in this book, which I can see some people being like, Fitz is so annoying in this book. He kind of lost some of his naivete from the first trilogy, where some of his charm was. He's really rough around the edges in this book. But I think it makes so much sense. And I think like using that as a parallel, like with him in Prince Dutiful, like of who Fitz used to be versus who he is now, I think it's just so, it's poetic in some ways, and it's just so well done. The exploration of basically like the debate of him and Night Eye's relationship. That's really the forefront of this first half of the book before we can get into the action, before we get on the quest, the fool's errand that he partakes on. It's also building up that relationship. Wolves don't live forever, and this is an aging Night Eyes that we are introduced with. And we're faced very quickly with his age and how he's slowing down a little bit and how Fitz is grappling with that. And I just think that it was all set up so wonderfully. And even though I literally just reread the original trilogy, so it's not like it was like super nostalgic for me, it was nostalgic when we met Chade again. When the Fool came to visit Fitz, it felt nostalgic for me because Fitz was nostalgic for them. We're so immersed into his psyche that everything he feels is so viscerally displayed in Robin Hobb's writing that's why I think, like, hands down, he is the best character. And people, I know people love to say, like, Farsi trilogy, like, he's the dumbest character alive, and I'm sure people have complaints about him in this book that he's just, like, too stubborn and too angry, and he has no nuance. But, like, it just makes sense to me. Everything that he does makes perfect sense from the man that he is. And I just think it's just so fascinating. And I would say like the biggest complaint that I had for this book is similar to the complaint I had initially reading Assassin's Quest, is that this quest is a journey, right? It's an expedition, right? And I wished, my favorite parts about the first two books of Farseer was the exploration of Buckkeep, the internal politics, him working in the castle. I really like that stuff. Assassin's Quest takes us outside of the castle. It's all about him going to a specific destination. And I feel like some of that journey kind of like, okay, the plot is like, oh gosh. The character stuff is always fantastic, perfect, no notes. But the journey itself, I'm like, okay, we're still on the skill road, right? And this one I felt similarly when he leaves Buckkeep again, because I wanted him to linger in Buckkeep a little bit longer. Because I think him in Buckkeep is so fascinating, and I think we're going to get more of that in later books in the trilogy. But when he was like meeting with the nobles outside of the city, like the ones with the cats, and he's like trying to figure out like, was Dutiful here? Like what are the signs, like doing some investigation. I thought that part dragged a little bit on the journey, but it's quickly recovered once Dutiful becomes more of a character and they start to interact more. And just like the politics of the world, how it's evolved in time since Fitz in a way, and how Fitz has to learn about that, catch up on the politics, and now he is the catalyst. He's a catalyst, guys. They say it in the books, for like a lot of like the political movements of like the piebalds and the wit people and like the cult of the bastard, they say, and all of that intrigue in the background of this whole event that's happening with Dutiful and how he gets in the situation he does, but also the evolution of the magic systems, right? We get an expansion upon the wit, not really so much the skill, but a little bit of that, but because we know that Fitz trained the wit a little bit more in between the events of the two trilogies, we get a deeper understanding of it, some other things that can happen with it, and like I said, at the core, this book is really about the relationship of Fitz and Dutiful, the parallel there, but also Fitz and Night Eyes as their relationship grows and evolves as they grow older in life. But really, guys, I just can't emphasize enough how masterful I think this character building is, and how masterful the time jump was handled. Because I'm not going to say that I was worried it was going to be bad. I was never worried it was going to be bad. I just had no idea how it could be done. How can we have different trilogies? I think is it 3 trilogies of Fitz at different stages of his life? How does that even work? And I just think it works perfectly. And the parallels, or not the parallels, but the payoffs of the trilogy, the first trilogy in this book, and how it leads Fitz to where he is today. Because he got his happy ending, but he's still very unhappy man. It just didn't cure him. It didn't cure him of all the pains that he has and all the troubles that he has. And a lot of his stubbornness, of his like childhood stubbornness, evolved into an angry stubbornness. And I think that's perfectly realistic because he was alone those 15 years. Oh, I could talk about this book for so long. There's so many interesting things about this book. Because it's also like the small things in the original trilogy that are just like represented to you in this book. Like how Fitz is not just the father of Nettle, Molly's kid, but also technically the biological father of Dutiful, based on the events of Assassin's Quest. I definitely would have forgotten that had I not just reread Assassin's Quest, but they also talk about it a lot in this book. And I just think it's so fascinating. Oh, it's just so good, guys. I can't do it. Fitz is the best fantasy character of all time. And I don't want to hear your opinion if you disagree. Only comment that you agree with me about that. I don't want to hear any naysayers, okay? Not a single one, because you're incorrect. If you were raised like Fitz, you would act like Fitz. If you stayed 15 years in the cabin after the events of living like Fitz in the first trilogy, you would act like Fitz in this book. And there is no one that could convince me otherwise. No one. I love this book, guys. I cannot wait to continue with the series. And also, too, the connections to Live Ship. The subtle connections to Live Ship in this trilogy. I will say, or in this book, rather, I will say, spoiler alert, I didn't know that the Fool was Amber in the Live Ship Traders trilogy. I don't know if I said that in my review of those books. That's something I learned in the forums. I did not pick up on that. But I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting. And I will say this. I was going to wrap it up, but I got to say this too. I think another thing I really loved about this book is it changed, or no, it didn't change. I think my reread changed how I feel about The Fool. The first time I read Farseer Trilogy, I'm like, The Fool's kind of annoying. Okay, he's a jester. He's haha, riddles funny. But then in the third book, you're trying to make me think he's like some deep like character I'm supposed to take seriously, and he like loves Fitz a lot. Like they're that close. Like, okay, I don't really buy it. On a reread, I'm like, okay, I buy the relationship. And like, I think in this book, he's really become a protagonist of his own. He is a fully fledged character, and maybe that helps just with the background of the Fool being Amber in Live Ship and being such a prominent character in that trilogy. But I really felt like in this book specifically, the Fool was a fantastic character that could hold their own in books. Like if Fitz was like, okay, like I'm seriously retired, guys, like I don't want to be a character anymore, I would be devastated. If Fitz dies, I don't know what I'm gonna do. But I would read a book about the Fool doing whatever. So I really liked their dynamic there, and the Fool and Fitz dynamic is also another huge part of this book. And I just think their relationship has aged and has evolved in a way that's just so beautiful and so interesting. And I really do love it, just like I love the book. Let me know what you thought in the comments below, and be sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more like in the future. This one was all over the place, guys, but you know what? I'm just caught in a wave of emotions. Okay. Thanks for sticking around.